Welcome to the Remodeler Success Podcast, a show created to inspire kitchen and bath industry professionals to achieve optimal success in their remodeling business. Your host, Dennis Oz, is the author of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. He's also the founder of RTA Marketing, a pioneer digital marketing agency for the remodeling industry. On each episode, Dennis will sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they learned, and how to find success in remodeling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Remodeler Success Podcast, where we highlight the people that strategies shaping today's remodeling industry. Today's guest leads one of the longest running design build firms in the Midwest, a company that's been serving homeowners in Cincinnati for more than 50 years. Yeah, you heard it right. It's more than 5 decades. Today, my guest, he joined the family business back in 1993 after a start in banking and insurance. You see how different things that we have today, that we have so many different cross functions that we're going to talk about. And since then, he has helped the company grow while keeping design, estimating, and construction all under one roof. Please welcome the CEO of Neal's Design Remodel, Alan Hendy. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dennis. Good to be here with you.
Oh, great. Alan, could you please introduce yourself a little bit before we dive into our questions?
Sure. I've been running Neal's Design Remodel since 2012. Been back, as you said, with the company since 1993. Neal is not my name. My dad's first name is Neal. And he started the business 53 years ago. Out of necessity. He had 6 kids, was 40 years old and had no money, and started it. And from the very, very beginning was design build, and had a designer with him, had a great little construction crew, and started out. So we started it, he started it out of our home. And for the first 10 or so years doing business on one side of town, the business started to grow. My oldest brother, who just retired 2 years ago, joined the business in 77. We started in 72. My other brother joined the business in 85. I was so smart, Dennis, at that time that I knew I would never work in this business. So I told my dad so much. I really didn't know if this is where I wanted to be. So my background was a degree in finance by way of institutional investing through a bank. I wanted to work on Wall Street and do what institutional traders do, but things moved around a lot, and I ended up in some insurance work as an underwriter for a local insurance company, and really learned a lot there. And then back in 93, I was the last brother to join the business. So we had been in business about 21 years when I joined in 93. So we had 3 brothers that were second generation. We were full service and still are full service design, build, remodeling company. So it's all residential. And that's how we built the beginning of the business. And a dad with 3 sons in it, he was very nervous about keeping all of us fed and making it grow. But my dad he's an amazing person. He's very quiet. My dad is 93. My mother's 91. They've been married 70 years. I have lunch with him every Tuesday with my brothers, and he's a force in my life. So this place is named after him, and about 40% of what we do every year, Dennis, is in the same house. It's the same clients over all these years. So we're extremely blessed, have an amazing staff. We have about 50 employees. And volume-wise, it's moved around a lot. Year to date, we're at about 12 or 13 million. So we'll probably finish out at 17 or 18 million this year. 30 of our 50 employees are carpenters in the field. And then we have an architectural design team in here as well. And 5 salespeople on staff and support people with them. So managed through the first generation to the second with my dad to my brothers and I, and working through, I have a wonderful nephew, Mike, who's 39, who's in the business. And then my son, Jimmy, who's 28. So generation 3 is here. And our transition from being partners with my brothers to now being partners with my nephew. And we have an outside family member who's our operations manager, Derek, who's wonderful, who also has a piece of ownership. So it's a very steady business. It is not easy, but it is, we just have some principles we use every day that we try to keep very simple. Right. Cincinnati is a wonderful market.
That's also a competitive market too. I have some questions about that market as well.
Yeah, I would say it's a competitive market, but we do not have as many players in this market as, let's say, a DC or other places where you have very large design build companies all competing with each other. I have a couple really wonderful competitors here. We don't run into each other that much. I think when you talk to people in design build and you realize that their market share is under 2% for just about all of them, there's plenty of work and plenty of room for people to grow.
Right. This is perfect. This is great. And thanks so much. Thanks so much for that. Let me ask you a question. So we are talking about companies like decades old. You're in this since 1993. And it means that running this company means dealing with like legacy processes, right? And also market is evolving and the client expectations are also changing. We just wanted to learn how you really kept Neal's Design Remodel relevant and growing in a market like a wonderful market like Cincinnati.
Well, growth is good for companies. There's two things about growth to talk about. One is it can kill a company. It most certainly can, if you're not prepared for it, it can absolutely destroy a very good company very quickly. So we looked at our growth in kind of a stair-step process. We understood, and I would say to all your listeners, I encourage them to join a peer group right away. We have been in peer groups for the last 25 years, and having somebody to talk to about what it means to be a $1 million company and a $3 million company, and why it's hard to get to a $5 million level, and selling things versus producing things. Selling things is interesting. Producing things is when you get paid. So you have to make sure your WIP revenue and your production levels can keep up and are structured to keep up with where your volume will be that you sell. So we've done a very good job of that planning through 1 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, and where we're heading now. A lot of it is through friends that have shared with me the kind of production structures that I would need. And these things take years to plan out. So if you want to have an extra digit and be a $10 million company, well, what does that mean for your production staff? What does that mean for the workload in your design staff? So understanding that and being able, I would say the one key thing, Dennis, is being able to see your workload. We work very hard here to make sure each designer, our setup is a separate sales and design team. So it's a 2-person team. I know many in our industry, the designer is also the salesperson.
And also the customer service as well. You know, it's like,
these
roles are on them too. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a $1 or $3 million company or something, you don't have a lot of people there. It's very different than running an 8 or 10 or $15 million operation or $20 million operation where you could have up to 150 employees and a lot going on. So I think it's my business background rather than a construction background is really what's helped me understand what's coming. Not because we know it all, but because we've asked people that are at that level. It is nice. We don't compete with anybody outside of an hour of where I'm located. So if I'm on the phone with a dear friend in Columbus, Ohio, Gary, who's been a friend of mine for a long time and is bigger than we are, I can ask him and he will share what is the trick to getting the first 400 or 500,000 a month in production WIP level. And then what's it take to get that up to $1 million a month? What does that take to keep that profitability good during that growth? Because a lot of people, I think you know this, Dennis, a lot of people focus on the top line revenue and they say, wow, I'm an X person, I'm a $1 million company or a $5 million company. I think the focus should be on your profitability. I truly think whatever your gross profit is for the company is what your revenue is. That's what I truly believe. So if you're a $12 million company and you're doing $4 million in gross revenue, hopefully, that is the revenue of your company. That's what's coming past when the jobs get built and with the overhead you need to cover. So it's just a matter of perspective, and it's a matter of planning for what is coming and what you think will be coming. Now, I know the market moves a lot, but what do you want to be when you turn into this $5 million company or what have you?
Right. Well, thanks so much for dropping this knowledge here. And I'm sure that is really helpful for our listeners here. Let me ask you this question. Alan, we know that you have little different experiences outside of remodeling. And before even starting this one, you got like in the banking and insurance. And that's not a really usual path in many of the construction companies. Could be a design and build, could be even maybe a remodeler. So how did your background really outside of these trades really shape the way that you scale your business today?
I think in different ways. When I was an insurance underwriter with Cincinnati Insurance, which was a wonderful local, pretty large insurance company, I understood an insurance policy, how it's written. So that's helpful for me here. When one of our customers is our insurance agent, and I know when he talks to me, he knows I formerly was an underwriter. So what does it mean for our fleet of trucks? What does it mean for adding, an additional insured on this policy? What does it mean for a builder's risk policy on $1 million job? Those kind of things, background wise, weren't foreign to me. So it seemed good. I think my banking background and my passion about just understanding money and how finance works is helpful. I don't think it brought anything incredibly interesting, remarkable to the business, but I think for me, it was just cutting through the understanding. I was a little different. I walked into a business that was already over 20 years old. It was 21 years old when I got here. So it is well established. My two brothers and I both sold, or all three of us sold. We discovered in 2012 that we were kind of a three-headed monster. My dad had retired. Nobody was truly running what we had. So I think my management background taught me a little bit that, hey, you have to have one person in charge. So if somebody wanted the right answer on vacation, they'd come ask me and say, oh yeah, you can have the day off. And somebody else, a question about healthcare, they might go to my brother. We really realized that that's not a healthy way to run the business. Instead of just waking up every day and selling more work, which is truly, Dennis, what we were doing, somebody had to work on the people parts of this business. And that's when my two brothers asked me to be the CEO back in 2012. And we kind of transformed the business from there, from everybody just go sell a lot of stuff to a little more structure, building a management team, building the pieces and parts of the support you need to take care of your people and to make sure they have a workload that's manageable so that they enjoy their work and so that your clients are having a great experience.
Amazing. That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing this. Alan, just want to talk a little more about team management, because most of the remodelers, they really struggle to build a really reliable and accountable team, especially when we have high expectations, especially when we are running millions of dollars, right? Well, not all our listeners in that phase, but I'm sure there are a lot of listeners among our audience that really want to be there one day. And just wanted to, I want you to share what you have learned. Let me ask you the question this way, maybe. What have you really learned about hiring and retaining that great people that others in the industry often overlook?
Well, great question. The hard part is you're working yourself right out of a job. And that is your job every day. So I miss selling. I haven't sold a project since 2013 or 14. But my job at that point was to take my book of business and make sure my nephew was a great salesperson and that they knew how to do it. So really, I think each person inside your organization, Dennis, first of all, if you're a small remodeling company and you don't have a production manager yet, or you don't even have a person that supports you yet, you've got to get comfortable with other people making mistakes, and you have to develop processes and not have it all up here so that it feels good to be the man it feels good to be the guy and have all the answers, but you quickly realize, I think once you get past $1 million, that I'm going to have to find people I can't trust and the right culture, the right people that get along with the rest of the folks here. So I'm big on culture. I train on it. I onboard every single person that comes into this company. They all end up with this wonderful card that I have in front of me that tells what our service values are and how we're going to treat each other.
Company culture we are talking about here, right?
Yeah, it's just when you study great companies, whatever size they are, you could look at Zappos that does shoes, and you can look at Ritz-Carlton that does hotels. They are all working on their people. So I spend all my time now on the people side of the business, which I think a lot of people want to avoid that side of the business. If we're sitting here being honest, it is probably more fun to work on a beautiful kitchen project than it is to talk to somebody about why they can't get to work on time. So I've gotten very comfortable with the people parts of the business. And a lot of contractors that are becoming larger are afraid of putting the tool belt away, of not being the guy, not being the man. I have an amazing operations person, Derek, who's over my shoulder in that office next to me, who's a non-family member that now basically runs this business on a day-to-day basis. That transformation over the past 15 years has been pretty humbling for me, and humbling when you have a family involved of what's my place, what is my process, what is that? So I think you've got to be super intentional about what you want your company to be, how you want it to. I call myself, Dennis, a bird feeder. I sit out there and attract the best possible talent in this city that I can get. And I want it to be very hard to leave here. I want people to be attracted here and make great wages, have excellent benefits, because and I know that we're in people's homes every day. I think we're in a very difficult business as far as a lot of times the client can see the progress from today quicker than I can. It's them and the lead carpenter, and it's them and that person that's representing our company there every day on the front lines. And we probably have 25 or 30 jobs going at once, and there's just a lot going on. So you are very quickly, Dennis, going to run out of runway if you think you can do it all yourself. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of, things that come with being the man, but you have to be willing to give most of that up and work your way right out of a job.
Yeah, well, this is great. Thank you so much. And my next question is going to be all about the processes. We're going to focus more on the sales processes, right?
Yeah.
When you're in a full service design build firm, which means that managing client expectations and that are design, estimating, and production, which you really already talked about previous question. But let's focus a little more on the sales process. How does your sales process look like? And how do you keep it both personal and predictable?
Great question. Our sales process is, if we start with the marketing piece, we will get anywhere, 15 or 20 leads a week. We have 5 salespeople that will, what we call a project consultant, that's our sales function person, is going to make an initial visit out to the house. They are there to just listen and learn, explaining. We have a physical form we show them that shows our process, and our website does the same. If you go to neals.com, which is our website, you will see a drop down that says what is our process and how much do things cost. We actually put some things on there that assist a client. By the time they've reached, Dennis, the reach out point where they're ready to have us come out, we know how much homework they've done. We want to be respectful of them as far as sharing numbers, round numbers at first. So that first visit is going to be about round numbers and process and getting to know someone. 40% of our work's in the same house. So that's a large number. We're back to a repeat client's home. Those are obviously much easier on that first visit. We asked them to go into a design retainer with us. So we will spend usually 60 days with them, something like that, 60 to 90 days with them, exploring what's here. Our sales cycle used to be over 100 days. From the initial visit through the preliminary designs to the presentation, we were having trouble getting that done in under 100 days. We now have it down to 60 some days. So we have cut that in half. I like to make sure that the client's got a frictionless process that they are in control of. So that first visit, we're going to ask them for a design retainer. That retainer applies towards whatever project they take on. A couple weeks later, let's say they agree to the retainer, we will have a designer come out, measure the space, and that 2-person sales and design team will work with them all the way through the project's completion. So the designer will grab it next, grab the measurements, show plan A, plan B, plan C. We do a lot of outdoor living. We do a lot of large additions, whole house, kitchens, bathrooms, lower levels, etc. So we'll develop a schematic design of A, B, and C usually. Have them back. We do have a great showroom. I'm not sure every remodeler is going to do a showroom. I highly recommend it. Pay yourself rent. Buy a building, pay yourself rent, and have clients come to a brick and mortar showroom where they can see stability and an operation that operates well. So once they see the preliminary plans, then it's A, B, and C. Let's say they really like B. We have some preliminary numbers available for them during that appointment. When we first met, we thought this was a $150,000 project, and A is about 150, B is about 185, and C, if you want to see it, it's way over what you want to spend, but it's about 230. And just walk through these with them. And if they sharing with us that they like B versus A, then we will pursue a detailed estimate of B for them and write specs up 1 through 80 of everything that's included and come back to them with a contract to sign. So they're going to spend right now about 60 to 80 days in that process rather than 100. That was a long time to ask them to wait. And then it's assigned to production and goes from there.
Great. I'm sure that our listeners here, sometimes they have some struggles about how to plan a sales process. And folks, I hope you found it really helpful that Alan talked about the sales processes here. And thank you so much for sharing with this.
I do want to just point out, you should be able to see your sales process. Make a graphic for your client.
Visual process, right? It's not like to just buy the numbers, but graphics and everything that you're talking about.
I really believe, I don't know if you would agree with me, but people know how to buy a condominium. They know how to buy a car. They know how to buy this. They have no idea how to buy what we sell. They don't know the price of it. They think they've heard from their friend. They went to their friend's house. Their friend lied to them about what they spent. The project was 150 and their friends want to look frugal and said, we spent 100. So they're probably not hearing accurate numbers. Share the numbers and be very honest about where things could be. I never work off of a cost plus contract ever. So we bid out projects so they know the number. And then we can take that design retainer, apply it towards the purchase. And from there, all the planning begins and production starts.
That's even amazing just to hear all these processes and systems. And thanks so much, Alan. I'm sure that our listeners are getting a really good value out of these answers today. And thanks so much. Well, I would like to take the conversation to AI speech. And folks, when we have preparation for the podcast, Alan and I, we were just talking about some bullet points about the things that we're going to discuss. And he shared something really interesting. I said, Alan, you know what? Just give it to the session. So we witnessed a lot of interesting applications here with AI. How do you guys today use AI in your business? Do you have any interesting something to share with us?
Well, the way we currently use it is pretty limited, besides throwing things in ChatGPT and using it more the same way we use search. So that when you nip around the edges, AI seems a little scary and very honestly, people don't know how it's going to affect us. But starting this week, actually, we are about to enter into an agreement with a company called Merlin, which they've been wonderful. But some people in my peer group, I mentioned before having a peer group. Inside that group, I have early adapters. I have people that always say no. I have people that never buy any software. And I love seeing the group of people sitting there debating a piece of software or to use it. I think that's maybe more helpful than reading reviews or, studying it yourself on the computer. But we are about to take the mundane tasks that we do here and have AI work through those mundane tasks. I'll give you some examples, if that helps. We build a written schedule for every single project. It's a little risky. Clients, they can really take that schedule and make you feel awful for what you put together because you might not hit it. But if it rains and things happen in your schedule, we spend a lot of time on those 30 projects going at once, adjusting all the schedules, contacting the people involved. We use smart sheets for our scheduling. So we do have some digital schedules that are all put together. Could you imagine a world where rain happened? Maybe you have a specialty company or design build company, but rain will affect a lot. What if AI knew that it rained? And what if AI knew that your clients all needed the same description of what's going on and everybody was communicated with? And what if that was a 5-minute process? What if I think for design and for estimating, it's kind of a no-brainer that that's going to affect us. I think that on the HR side, when you become larger like we are, and you have 50 people to take care of, let's say you got to spend the summer doing 50 reviews for 50 employees when you should be or want to be out estimating. You can use things like Otter and some other things that transcribe the voice down. I think that those kind of things incorporated into AI would be good. Another thing we think it's going to change is purchasing. So when an estimate is done, wouldn't it be nice, by the way, if your estimate was updated daily with...
That would be great.
That's what AI will do. AI will search the web. It'll search all your suppliers. Wouldn't it be nice if when you got an invoice back from the stonemason on your project, we know what he said to us 1 through 20 on the quote. How does that compare with the final invoice? AI can tell you that. There's a myriad of things. I'm just trying to scratch on a few of them here. I think 4 to 5 months from now, from what we start this week, that our experience is going to be that we're spending more time on training, more time on other things that the tactical work is pulling us from. My wife does all the books, and I know she's very exacting. She likes things a certain way. And I think once she teaches AI to do a report, like a WIP report, it's going to make a mistake here and there. It's going to make a mistake once, but it's not going to make it twice. So I think it's going to help all of us. Clients are going to want human contact. But I know that a lot of the humans that work here are spending a lot of time, Dennis, on things that are repetitive. Making sure a change order is accurate, making sure that a draw schedule on a job project is accurate. If we can ask AI to do those things, it isn't for me about getting rid of people. I don't have any interest. I've spent a lot of time and money bringing in the absolute best people here. It's going to change the marketing for our business, et cetera. So I'm excited about it. I'm a glass half full AI person. I think it is going to make some jobs different, completely different. Preliminary design work, I think we do already have clients coming to us with something designed in AI. You could either look at that and be spooked and say, I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, head for the hills. Or just embrace that and say, now you bring this to us. Why don't we use our experience to develop this design and tell you why this would be a better design and why this won't work for the HVAC and why taking out this wall isn't as easy as what the computer thought. We're going to be needed, but we also have to utilize AI to help us with our workload, to help us with our payables, to help us with everything, to help us with client information. And I know once a week, we have 13 lead carpenters here that are doing projects. They're required tomorrow morning, Friday morning, they have to send out a great email to the clients. That can be easily done by AI, a summary of the week. So I just think there's things that I'm excited about to use it for. I'm sure there's things that are going to bother me about it, but I'm sure as hell not going to let my competition do it before me. So I'm going to figure it out and let my team adjust. So.
Wow, this is great. Thanks so much. Well, this is one of the most honest answer when we ask these kind of new technologies. And thanks so much for sharing this. It's great to hear. And I'm sure our listeners are really enjoying this conversation as much as I do. Right,
Good.
everyone? I'm sure you're tuning in today or watching us. You're getting the maximum points. You're getting the maximum value out of this conversation. And thanks so much. Well, you're here. I will be asking questions. And so let's continue. Ellen, I would like to take the conversation, since also you already mentioned in our AI chat, you talked about marketing and some of the challenges and some of the really good, like sweet spots about marketing. How are you guys dealing with the marketing? What do you think is working today? What do you think that you would like to kind of explore more? What are your marketing activities today in the company?
Well, we've always done our own marketing here. We haven't had an agency. It's been a pet project for us forever, and we're, I think, very good at it. The big change for us, just looking back, was becoming a good digital marketing company. Let's say that started in about 2010 or 12. We use software called HubSpot, which HubSpot is excellent client contact software. It kind of has two sides, marketing side and a sales side. Website, calls to action, being able to make your website a lead machine, you need a good piece of software like that. So we built up a large database of emails. We would go do shows and give people, here's a copy of our USB with our 1,000 great ideas. If we just get your email, that type of thing for years, just to build up an email-based database. Being good at the blog space. I have two people in here that are exceptional at marketing. Jenny Reed runs our marketing, and Janice, who was with her, is a graphic design specialist, but also very, very astute at HubSpot. So those two together run it with myself. Over the years, the traditional print, the traditional home shows, those things have moved around. We're big on print. We like print a lot. Still think we sell a product that's aesthetically beautiful. We spend a lot of money on photography. So being able to have the newest, best, well-lit photography, I would say, is the biggest thing for marketing to tell the folks that are listening. Do not take the pictures yourself with your camera. Do not try to do bad lighting. It's going to do you more harm than good. Look like a $10 million remodeler when you're a $1 million remodeler. Just spend the money on photography. We leverage that into all kinds of things. Video is incredibly important for us and continues to be. But I think we're leaning less on digital and a little more into traditional. The first time we did billboards was 1974, 2 years after we were in business. I just started doing them again this year just to try something new. It's gone pretty well. We've had a very nice year to date, way outpaced what we thought we would be. I don't know if it's all from billboards. It's very hard to track where your leads are coming from. You can ask, but clients are going to tell you something different and remember things differently. We're a marketing company that happens to do design, build, remodeling, and you have to look at your company that way.
Wow, amazing. That's really a good angle to look at it. And I'm sure our listeners today, they are also, folks, of course, Alan here is talking about like years and years of legacy. Maybe Alan just starts marketing today. Their referral base will lead him for many, many years. I'm sure about this. But, because being a rock star in the area, well, this is not something that you can do from day one. But of course, just like Alan mentioned here, marketing is just make your business more visible. And then when you just show what you do and how you're great at doing things, of course, your ideal prospects will definitely understand what you guys do, and maybe you'll just convert them and start working with them in that process. And thank you so much, Alan. Well, before we wrap up, I have one last question for you, Alan, because, well, we talk about AI, we talk about like marketing, hiring, operations, sales, so many different functions in this. But There's a complexity when all these functions are working together. And new remodelers, where we have a lot of our listeners today, they often really estimate the complexity of running the business with these kind of different functionalities. And sometimes maybe they focused on projects, maybe not systems, right? What would be the one piece of advice that would give someone just starting out in the remodeling today?
Great question. I really believe that my relationships with other remodelers outside of my market are incredibly important. So if you're a $1 million remodeler, take a $3 million remodeler to lunch, or join a group with them. Get time with them to get to know them personally and their spouse and everyone. So you probably have somebody in your market that's your hero or that you're trying to be. They may really not want to share everything with you. I understand that. You may have to look outside of your market. I would say one of the things to do is make a friend, find a business that is successful, and understand that every time you make the jump in your sales, as you go up the ladder, you will have to break every system that you have. So get comfortable with what that feels like. So if you have a sales system, your sales process will probably change because it was great when you did it. And boy, do you have it down pat. But now somebody else has to go out and represent you. Training, people, hiring. So whether you're producing it, selling it, designing it, or marketing it, you're going to have other people that understand it as well as you do. So I would make a friend who's where I want to be and ask them where the pain was and say, how did you get through this? And what did you learn when you lost money between 2 million and 3 million? What would you change back then? Oh, I'd do this different. I think it's all production based. And if you start with your production, first of all, come up with a WIP report, understand what your work in progress is, be able to measure it and look at it. And that's where you're getting paid, not what you're selling, but when you're getting paid. So I think those basics would be where I would start.
Perfect. Thanks so much for all these answers. One last question, Alan. Sometimes, I know this is a B2B talk, we're talking to business owners, but sometimes our homeowners or prospects, they might come across with even the piece of content that we broadcast or publish. If a homeowner or like anyone who has a project in the future, I just wanted to learn more about you. Could you please tell us a little more about your company and what you guys really bring to the market? But this one, I'm asking you from just like a prospect, not like a business owner. Let's say you're talking to a homeowner, really want to get a little more about your company. What do you think really guys do great over there? Why we should go with you?
It's really simple. I think a lot of people do excellent construction work. I think people's miter joints are perfect. So let's just say it's a perfect job. What you're really looking for and what we're good at is putting wonderful people in your home. People that you feel like you can leave your home and leave them there. We are in the inner sanctum of where you live. So you have to trust that my old job as an underwriter, insurance underwriter, is to understand the risk in the situation. Doing a remodeling project and spending $100,000 on your house is risky. It's risky. And if you spend $100,000 with somebody that does it okay and not very well, you're going to be upset. So make sure the person you are working with has processes. Ask them to see their sales process. Ask them to see their production processes. Ask what their pre-construction meeting process is like. How do you take care of my pets? My son has a peanut allergy. What do we do with that? So when it's customer focused, you'll be able to tell a company that's customer focused right away because you're going to be able to see how they take care of things that you need and your family needs.
Well, folks, that was one of the greatest episodes of all time Alan, thank you so much for joining me. Well, Alan, if someone could be either a business owner, maybe a follow-up question, you just talk about the importance of talking to the peers, right? Or maybe a prospect homeowner. If you have a follow-up question after this one, what is that? Is that a website? Just to let you know, we'll be sharing these contact information with 15,000 people. So please don't share your cell phone number, but is that okay to go to their website or what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, all through social, anything with Neal's Design Remodel. If you just go to neals.com, it's quite simple, neals.com, you'll be able to at least see who we are. If you go to alan@neals.com, that is my email. I pick up the phone. I'm happy to talk to anyone. If anyone has a question, be more than happy to spend time with them. You get what you give. So we're happy to help people. This is a very difficult business. I think outside of the restaurant business, this is probably as difficult being in someone's home and performing at a high level. So if somebody needs me, I'd be happy to help.
Thanks so much, Alan, for all the golden nuggets and everything that you shared today. And well, folks, as you can see, we will continue bringing you pioneer people just like Alan Hendy. And thank you so much for joining us today. That was another episode of Remodeler Success Podcast. We're going to see you next time. Goodbye.
If you would like to generate more leads, please visit rtamarketing.com to get a copy of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. This has been another episode of the Remodeler Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.